Just because we're in our RV doesn't mean I don't want to wake up each morning to a fresh hot cup of coffee. Now, for the last few years, I've been using a little 5-cup drip coffee maker. But something changed just recently, and I'm going to tell you all about it in this episode of Travels with Delaney. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Patrick. I'm so glad you stopped by today. And what I want to do is share a little story with you about something I found a couple weeks ago. So I have been using this 5-cup drip coffee maker that I purchased on Amazon. I think the brand was Capresso. Had that coffee maker dating way back to around 2020. And I noticed it was really slow in terms of how long it was taking to make coffee. So I did what most people do. I went and bought some vinegar and ran vinegar water through it several times, cleaned it out, or so I thought. And the next morning I went to make coffee, and it did seem to be a little bit faster. But the next night, as I was pouring water into the water reservoir, I noticed there were black things floating in the fresh water reservoir, and I thought that can't be good. And so I dumped it out and immediately took some paper towel down in there, and some kind of like black mold had built up in the water reservoir, and I decided it's time to go ahead and ditch that coffee maker. Originally, I was looking for one of those Keurigs that combined both the single serve with the pod and also allowed you to brew just regular coffee into a pot. And that way I thought in the mornings, if I want more than just a single cup, I'll brew 4 cups in the pot, and if it's at nighttime and I want a cup, I can just use the single serve. But what I found when I was at Walmart was something I didn't even know existed. And today I want to share with you the coffee maker that I ended up buying, because I know there's a lot of you like me who are RVers, you really love good coffee, but maybe you were thinking you couldn't have a fresh ground roasted coffee each and every morning, and the truth is, apparently you can. This is the coffee maker I ended up choosing. Now, it's the brand Beautiful by Drew Barrymore, and apparently it's an exclusive line to Walmart. I didn't even know it existed. What I really liked about this particular coffee maker is the fact that it does allow for beans to go in the top, where it will grind them fresh, drop them into the basket, and then brew you a fresh cup of coffee using those freshly ground coffee beans. I also like the fact that, honestly, it doesn't take up a ton of space. Unlike my Cuisinart grind and brew at home, which is a lot bigger, this looks more like a single serve, and it is a single serve. Now, some of you, I'm sure, are thinking, hey, look, single serve just doesn't work for me because there's 2 of us in the RV that drink coffee. But before you turn off the video, hold on, because I think you're going to be shocked at how much coffee you can actually brew each time using this coffee maker. Now, to get started, first thing I want to do, because what attracted me was the size of the coffee maker, I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements for you so you can see exactly how big this coffee maker is. In terms of width on this coffee maker, we're only about 5 inches wide. So it's a very narrow coffee maker if you don't have tons of space like we don't here with our coffee bar. I like the fact that it was nice and narrow. As far as depth on this coffee maker, we are right at 12 inches deep. And really the most that you're going to see here as far as size is going to be on the height. And this comes in just a little over 14 inches. We're at about 14¼ inches tall. It's honestly not that big of a coffee maker in terms of the width and the depth. It's really just the height. And here in our coffee bar area of our Alliance 29RL, this actually works. I was a little concerned about the fact that we don't have a ton of clearance here between this, but that hasn't been a problem. All I have to really do is pull this cover off, because this is where your coffee beans go. So I'm able to go ahead and take my fresh beans, and I'm finding that I only have to fill this every 2 to 3 days. It'll hold, depending on how much coffee I'm actually making, because you can actually fill the hopper right up, and then I just replace the lid, and now my beans are in there ready to go for several cups of coffee. My other concern was putting water in. Was I going to have to flip up something here on the top and try to pour water in? And the answer is no, because with this coffee maker, there is a removable water canister with a filter system. All you have to do is fill this up at your sink and then replace the water canister in the back. And again, I'm finding I'm only having to do this every 2 to 3 days, depending on how much coffee I'm making. One of the downsides that I have found already to this coffee maker is the fact that with the basket system, it uses one of these reusable gold baskets, and they say do not use paper filters. I actually bought some 4-cup paper filters to try, but the problem is, right here you'll see, this is open down here so that the fresh ground beans can come into the basket. So the paper filter stuck up way high and it just made a mess. Now I did think about trying to cut it out, but I've heard other people in reviews say it doesn't work. So honestly, I've actually been using the reusable basket. I just dump them into the trash can and then rinse them out in the sink, and it's working great. And then all we have to do once that's clean is slide that back in. Now, as far as how it operates, it's pretty simple. On the front, you'll notice there is an actual clock here. You just want to make sure that you set it with the correct AM or PM, because if you're going to use the auto featured where it will come on at a certain time and make a cup of coffee for you, you just want to make sure that's right. So the other thing is you'll notice the brew on-off switch blinks. Now that's something that actually kind of drives me nuts. Apparently that's normal. It just blinks on and off like that. Not a big deal, but I'm not sure why they have it blinking. If I go ahead and touch that, it actually brings up a control screen where I can set different adjustments for what I want to do. First thing is I can adjust the brew size. Now we have lots of options. We can start with a 6-ounce cup. We can do an 8, a 10, a 12, we're not done, a 14, also a 16-ounce cup. Now a 16-ounce cup allows me to use my travel mug and fill that thing up, and that's enough coffee for me for the morning. The other thing I can do is there is a bold setting. If I want my coffee to be a little bit more robust, I can use the bold setting. We can also turn the grind feature off. So let's say you have ground coffee, you don't necessarily want to grind your beans fresh for whatever reason. You can go ahead and just put your coffee grinds right in there. Make sure you set it for the grind off, and then it will brew just like a normal drip coffee maker. The last feature that I really like on here is the fact that I can program this to come on at a certain time. So I have it set for every morning at 5:35 a.m. When 5:35 rolls around, you'll hear the coffee maker start grinding the beans, dropping the grounds into the basket, and brewing my cup of coffee. By the time I get done with my shower, I come out, I have a nice hot cup of coffee that was freshly ground and brewed. So I really like that feature. That's really it in terms of how this whole coffee maker works. And again, you can adjust the programming for how you want it to brew. Let's go ahead and brew a cup of coffee now. Now this mug that I use is big enough to hold 14 ounces. So I have it set for 14 ounces. That's really all I wanted to do. It's where I want it to go. All I have to do is push the brew button, and you'll notice over here, hopefully it's picking up on camera, it starts to work. You'll see it going through a process, and in just a moment, we're going to hear the grinder actually kick on. There we go. Our coffee beans are freshly ground. They've been put into the basket, and now the brewing process will start. Now, to save you sitting here wasting your time watching my cup of coffee brew, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to speed this up. And there we go. We have 14 ounces of piping hot black coffee. Now, I used a Pete's French roast, dark roast that I picked up Costco. That's the beans I currently have. And again, I brewed the 14-ounce cup because that's what this mug will hold. From the time I pushed the start button till the time the machine said it was ready was just under 5 minutes. So, does it take longer than a single serve like Keurig using a coffee pod? Sure it does. But you're getting much fresher coffee because your beans are being ground right before brewing. Now, a few other features I should mention. We do have the drip tray right down below that you can take the lid off. You can actually just gently pull on this, and we can go ahead and anything that's in there, we can dump it out, wipe it out, that type of thing. Also, if you're using a smaller cup and you want it closer, there is an adjustment to bring the base up. So if you were going to do like a 6 ounce and you were going to use more of you know, like a teacup or something like that, you do have that option. And you can completely remove this so that you can use a travel mug like my RV Destinations travel mug. And I can set that under here, and then I can brew the maximum amount, 16 ounces, and that way I brew this before I head to work. I can go ahead, put my lid on, and that will last me quite a while in the morning at work, and I have that fresh coffee. So this little coffee maker gives you lots of options. One of the things I was worried about was the cleanup and maintenance of this particular coffee maker, and honestly I found it's not that bad. So they recommend that once a week you go ahead and you pull your beans, and in my case I just run the beans till they're empty. We just pull the top of the grinder off. That's where you can actually see the grinding mechanism, and they give you not only a bean scoop, but on the other end of the bean scoop is this little brush. I just keep it up here in the coffee cabinet, and you just go in there, kind of clean off the grinding mechanism. I pull the front off here so that I can kind of clean where it dumps in. I just take my brush in there when it's dry, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And so far, it has worked flawlessly. In the store, they only apparently carry like this off-white, which goes really well here in the Alliance. But if you go to Walmart.com, they do appear to have other color options for this. Now, what I can't speak to with this coffee maker yet is the longevity. Will it hold up? Walmart did offer me an extended 2-year warranty plan on it, which I decided not to take. Probably should have, looking back. But Walmart's always been really good if you have issues with products early on in their life. I have saved the box that it came in just in case. That way we have it if something goes wrong and I do need to return it. Price-wise, I paid $99.99 for this coffee maker, so we're right at $100. Yes, there are many cheaper coffee makers out there, and honestly, you could also probably get that Keurig that does the single pods with the carafe for around the same price. But as soon as I saw this and I saw that I could grind my beans fresh every morning like I do at home with my Cuisinart, I just knew I wanted to give it a try. Let me know, does anybody else have one of these beautiful by Drew Barrymore grind and brew coffee makers, and has it held up for you? Because I'm curious myself. Only time will tell if it holds up, but so far I am absolutely loving it. All right, everybody, I'm going to enjoy my cup of coffee, and until next time, we'll see ya on down the road. Bye.
Travels with the lady, we'll see you on down the road.